Right, in this video I am going to be trying to correct the mistake that I made when I set my toe angle for the front of my suspension on my Honda Civic to toe in at 4mm total toe. Now, also part of this video, the first part is basically if you've got, as I'm doing, looking at the Haynes manual and the toe angles are in millimeters, how to convert them back into minutes and degrees. And minutes and degrees is the machine that is calibrated for the machine that I use, which is the Track Ace, to check for tracking, total tracking. Now, in a rush, I accidentally read that as the total toe. In fact, if you look above it, rear wheel is 4mm, and I think I can change it on this car, definitely on the Ford Focus I have, that I can change the rear wheels, but I don't normally ever change that unless I am really suspicious of something really wrong, or unless I've taken parts of it, the car apart, of course. Normally I leave that, but the toe in for the Honda Civic is toe setting is 0 plus or minus 2mm. Now the problem is that the millimeters part, I've already done it, I've already calculated it as about 30 something minutes for 4mm total toe in, but I'm just going to go through how to actually calculate. Right, first off you need the actual size of your tyre. So the size of your tyre is, here's one of the previous receipts. On this car it is 225, so I write it down, 225 45 17. Now the other numbers are not really that important, that's to do with the speed that the tyre can take, what sort of speed and load it can take. So now this is, if I drew a tyre out or a wheel out, I'm going to give it like a 3D kind of depth. If I called that the width of the tyre, that is the width of the tyre, and that's in millimeters. This is what you call the aspect ratio, this number here. Now the aspect ratio is a ratio that has been multiplied by 100 to give it a better kind of look. Now this tyre wall kind of height here, so this is your aluminium alley metal part there. This height here, if I called that, for argument's sake, D, alright, the total diameter of the wheel is a bit of a mystery. It's not on there at all for some strange reason. If I give that the symbol big D, big diameter, the aspect ratio is equal to this depth here divided by the width multiplied by 100. Alright, so from here, if I was to move the equation around, because I don't really know what this is, I know what that is, and I know what that is, because that is given by there. So if I just kind of rearrange the equation, D is aspect ratio times W divided by 100. So D in this case is, we don't know, but we do know the 45 is there, times by the W, the 225, divided by 100. Alright, so the big diameter, which is what we want, and I'll show you why we need that in a minute, is equal to then two lots of that lot and that lot, isn't it? 2 times that, because it's that bit and that bit, and plus the width of this aluminium part of your alloy wheel or steel wheel. So that would be, that's given there. So that is the, I'll call it, just put a number in there, 17. Alright, the width of the aluminium wheel. Right. So that would be because that would be in strange enough. So we've got millimeters. Aspect ratio is there's no units, but this one it will be in inches. So we need to convert that. So 17 inches. There's 2.54 centimeters in an inch, and there's 10 millimeters in a centimeter. So multiply by 10. So I've got 2 times 45 times 225 divided by 100 plus 17 times 2 point. And a lot of this is just rewriting again. So, scientific calculator, take that out. We've got 2 times 45 times 225 equals that divided by 100 equals that. So we've got this part is 202.5 millimeters plus 17 times 2.54 times 10. 400 for the aluminium rim part. So add them together, 202.5. So it should be the whole wheel diameter is 634.3 millimeters. So why do we need that? We need that because if you're lucky enough, you can find some sort of automatic calculator on the website. But knowing the basics, how to do it by calculation, is also important. Right. So we see there that the sine width in the red box, it says sine of the toe out angle. Now we're getting to the minutes and the degrees of minutes now. Sine of the toe out angle is equal to the toe out distance divided by tire diameter. So we needed a tire diameter because it's that bit that was missing. Okay, so back to the picture. Now I'm drawing. Zoom out. Okay, let's finish running a bit more. So we know I'm just going to write that down. Sine of toe angle is equal to toe angle minutes of degrees, probably be in degrees now, divided by tire, and they spell tire differently to our spec, tire diameter. So we know that one. We don't know that one. Toe out distance. So for argument's sake, if you was doing the rear wheel and it was in millimeters, so we would know that one, so we can work out that. All right, so new bit of paper. Sine of the angle is equal to, let's say for argument's sake, now if your whole tyre was 4 millimeters, then one tyre would be not 4, it would be 2, right? So if it was toe in total as 4, then taking one wheel would be 2. 2 millimeters divided by, and everything's in millimeters now, so 2 millimeters divided by 634.3 millimeters equals that angle. So the angle we can work out, so we need to use, this is why scientific calculators needed. So 2, this part here, divided by 634.3 equals that number there, 0.0031, whatever that is, 53. Now I'm just going to rewrite that because these calculators are not as good as the old ones, believe it or not. They were much more friendly because I could have gone shift and then sine minus 1 that, but we can't do it on these ones. I could prove to you. So I could instead I'll have to punch it all in. bracket. Hopefully that'll work. I'm not even sure that's worked. Let's do it the old-fashioned way. I'll have to punch it in. So -1. These are not as good as they used to be. I think I'm going to come up with the same answer. So angle is equal to 0.18 degrees. Now there are 60 minutes equals 1 degree. So 0.18 degree equals 60 times 0.18. So that would equal 0.18 times 60. 10.8 minutes per wheel. Total tow equals times by 2. 21. So if it was 4 millimeters total tow, imagine it was, but it very rarely is, you never know. But say for the rear wheels that would be true. Then for the total tow using a machine it will be 21.6 minutes. So that's that bit done. I'm way over towing, I'm way off calculation because I set it way too high. If you want to hit the like button now, please hit the like button already. Now for the second part I'm going to go and measure my actual tow. That should be way off towing for the front wheels. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to reset the whole thing to how it should be, 0. But before I do that, there's a bit that I want to do before whilst I'm still in the warm because it's absolutely freezing outside, and that is to work out what I need to change. Alright, so I think I'll use the cardboard underneath. So the problem is that I've got too much tow in. That's one thing. The car, the steering wheel is kind of veered over that way too much. I want it more like that. Is too much to the right. So it's too much or clockwise. And the car is drifting, I would say, it's swerving, drifting to the right, I would say. Right, so there's 3 things there. So I'm going to tackle all 3 things when I'm down there, but I'll do it differently this time. I'll do it one at a time to both wheels at the same time. So too much towing, we can do that one. We know once we measure what it is, actually we can reverse that. So if, for example, my front wheel, so this is the front of the car, that direction is the front, it's too much that way, isn't it? Yeah, and we've got these rear bars linked to the rear of the vehicle, so I would need to screw. If I screwed in this side, that left wheel would do that, right? So we do that. So this will be screwing in equal amount to this side. If I was to screw this one in, so just check, that's going to bring it in like that, and this side is going to bring it in like that. So screwing in as well, this side, equal amounts, whatever it is, we'll find out. Steering wheel is slightly different because it's too much to the right. The steering wheel, here's my steering wheel, like so. Now, what if you imagine this bar here stretching all the way across the bottom here? The way I see it is, if that went in the same amount as that came out on this side, what would happen is, as this side goes in, you would turn the wheel like so, and this side you would poke the wheel out like so. So imagine it was dead straight and you went and screwed that one in and this one out. So that would do that, and this would do that. Once it does that, now imagine I haven't touched the steering wheel. Right, the steering wheel is like so, isn't it? It's already banked over to the clockwise position. So now, if you straighten the steering wheel, both wheels will point forward. All right. So I need to move. If you get that, if you don't get that, just leave a comment and I'll try and explain again. So I'm going to move the whole, this side on the right in, this side on the right out. That's equal amounts. That's going to take care of that. And it won't be much. It's only banked over probably 3 degrees. So a tiny bit, maybe not even a quarter turn, possibly a quarter turn, an eighth of a turn. I'll decide later on. Now, the third part, car is drifting to the right. So, if I kind of let it go, I can feel it slightly tilting over that way. So, bear in mind I've already got too much toe in. So, in this case, if I was to bring the left wheel over like so a little bit. So, if I was to bring the left wheel in over a little bit, I would have to screw in. Screw in by a small amount. That will help stop the drift. So all those things I'm going to do. You could just work out what it is and add them all up, but this is probably easier if I just did them one section at a time. Leave both tracking arms undone and just do one section at a time. Right, so that part said and done. I'm going to write this out on a bit of paper. We're going to find out what that is, and I'm going to go through each of them steps one by one. Right. Now, of course, on this Honda Civic, because there's too much, this is the front of the car, this end, there's too much mud flaps and low-hanging body parts and under trays that I have to do the reverse. I have to do the rear of the wheel where there's less of that stuff overhanging. You see one of my other videos. Also, if your rim is like mine, shaved off, you can't really put this bit of plastic on the track case on there because it's not going to be accurate. So I use, quite luckily, quite often the tyres have this kind of little ridge coming out, and that's pretty good. And that should be the same for both sides, since so it'll be different for top and bottom if I had to do it top and bottom, because that would be squashed in more or squashed out more, but since it's equal on both sides, that should be fine. So I'm gonna I've already set it up. I'm just gonna flip the mirror now downwards. So what I do is I've already got it lined up. Whoops, I have to hold both. I have to flip it over like so. So I'm expecting a toe out on that thing, indicating reality of toe in. Okay, so on there it says only 10 minutes toe out on here, which means it's 10 minutes toe in. I was expecting far more than that. So I'm going to double check it. If it's the same, I'm not going to give you another figure. So call it 10 minutes toe in. But I'll double check it. If I say nothing, that means that was actually accurate. So I'm going to keep everything there. I'm just going to move the mirror back on the other side of the wheel. Actually, when we look at it now, it is actually only 5, yeah, less than that, 3 minutes toe in, because it's out this side, because I'm doing the reverse of the wheel, the back of the wheel, I mean. So there's actually 3 minutes toe in. So that, remember, I've got to stop it from drifting to the right. Maybe a tiny little movement on that left wheel, bringing it outwards. will bring it to 0. Right, just one less job I've got to do. I don't need to bring it into a toe out position. Right, okay. Double checked and triple checked. So all I need to do is do the steering wheel and the left wheel with tiny fraction. Well, here it is. We're going to ignore that one. So this one and this one, a tiny bit of change on this one is going to affect the 0 toe in completely. This one here, right? So I'm deciding on an eighth going out on the left, eighth going in, eighth of a turn, and with this probably a 16th maybe, something like that. So less than an eighth. Okay. So I've already undone the 2 nuts. I've put some tape on each bar, white tape. Put the tape on before you undo the nuts, working for underneath, because once you undo that nut under tension, what happens is this will start, you know, this as you undo that under force, you know, it takes a lot of force to undo it. You can kind of hold on to it as well if you want. This will start spinning automatically, so you want to change up that 0 before you begin. Likewise on this side, same deal. Nuts are undone. That was the tape freshly put on before I undone the nut. It's pointing straight down now. Right, so I said, it's very important to get it written down first. I said on the left side of the car, screw it out an eighth. There it is. This is pulling off spanner. I can't remember what it is, but to undo it on this car, the big nut there is 24, I think. Yep, 24. To hold the bar and to turn it, let's get some more light. You go 14. So an eighth, turning it outwards. To use the tape. So a quarter will be straight out. So an eighth will be like so. That's an eighth. And the opposite is true. An eighth inwards on this side. Better light on this side. Okay. Much darker on this side. Right. This time at an eighth inwards. There's an eighth. Alright, okay. The bottom one says on the left wheel, screw in a small amount to make it toe out. So here we go. Back that way a bit. You notice the arm turn as well. So I need to rotate that arm. Right, so it's level. Right. I can't do it with both one hand. That hold that and then use the 24 to tighten that. Job done.